this video, we'll be looking briefly at how to get started using the diagramming engine in Logos Bible software. We begin by using the Documents menu and choosing on the right side, New Sentence Diagram. Once your sentence diagram appears on screen, you have the opportunity to retitle the document if you'd like. It's at this point you may want to add the biblical text that you want to diagram to your canvas. There's a trick to this as well, and it seems a little counterintuitive at first, but once you set this up once, there won't be much trouble. Start with the text menu and choose your Greek font, and then also the size. Now, I recommend a larger size at this point, maybe 20 or 22, because your diagram will be easier to read. Of course, you can use whatever size font you'd like, but once you set this up once, the diagram will default to the Logos's default Greek font at the size that you have it set here. The next step is to use the Insert Passage menu and to insert text that you'd like. Let's say that we're working on John 3:16. And it's important at this point to click actually on the text from the reference from the menu, and then click Insert. It takes a moment to appear on the screen. Another couple of preliminary remarks are in order. Each one of these items you see on the screen, the words from the verse, are separate little text box entities. I usually remove the verse reference, so I clicked on it and I pushed delete on the keyboard, and it usually takes a moment before the item that you're deleting disappears. I'll also remove this 16, so don't be surprised if it takes a moment or two for things that you delete to actually disappear from the canvas. We can start with a baseline by dragging that baseline tool out onto the canvas. Now, this is John 3:16, and you know that God is the subject. There's another little preliminary trick to be seen here. Notice that a white handle appears under Theos when I hover over it with my mouse. This is the best place to grab the text box for Theos and move it over here next to, but not quite touching, the text box for the article Ha. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. If we drag a selection marquee across both Theos and Ha, both of them get selected, and then I'm going to choose the Join button up at the top of the window. This will join the article to the noun and make it easier to drag this one unit as one text box. Now, there's a placeholder for subject on the baseline. I'm simply going to drag the Ha Theos joined group over on top of the subject placeholder and let go, and there it appears on my diagram the way I'd like. Now I'll follow a similar procedure with agapesin, moving it on to the predicate placeholder, and this doesn't look all that great right now. So the trick here is to understand that there are handles that appear on the line objects. This small blue handle is what I'm going to drag to create my space for a slightly longer word. And then again, dragging by the white handle on the text box object itself to move it into position. This little white handle is also a way I can detach an item from a line. So imagine that all of these text boxes are sticky, if you will. Once they get near something else, they'll stick to each other. So that means that when I drag this, any item that's stuck together like this, you notice how the baseline with its subject predicate marker, both of my text boxes now move together. All right, so now it's simply a matter of joining the things that need to belong together, and a matter of putting the right left slant and right slant terraces onto my diagram. For instance, a left slant terrace is what I need for the adverb hutos. And there we have it. We might want to move it over just slightly. The placeholder tends to put things a little farther to the left than I like. Also, we have on this baseline the object of the verb egapisen, which is ton kosmon. And so again, I'm going to drag a little marquee to select ton kosmon. Notice gar gets selected along with it. If I hold down the command key on the Mac or the control key on Windows and click on gar, notice how the selection disappears. Now only ton kosmon is selected, and I push join again. And then of course I need a direct object marker. So I'm going to drag this back out onto the canvas and connect it with that white handle. You'll feel it or see it sort of connect. Now I'm going to drag ton kosmon over to direct object. And there we go. We might need a little bit more space here. So again, I move this over and extend the line for the direct object marker. Right, we need another baseline, of course, for the verb edoken. So I need another baseline here. Throw edoken into the predicate. And ton huion is the object of edoken. I need this as the direct object of the verb edoken. Giving myself a little bit more room here. Put ton huion there as the direct object. And ton monogene needs to be joined as well. And this is an adjective modifying ton huion. So I need my single modifier here, simple modifier. Probably need a little bit more space as well to accommodate two words. You can even move the placeholder over to where you want it before you drag the target text onto the spot. Now it's the hosta which joins these two baselines together, which means I need a right slant terrace. And I'm just going to take that placeholder away and shorten this line so that I can drag this baseline up and attach it here. And the hosta I'm going to attach to the right slant terrace line. Probably better to put it over on this side so it's a little clearer what relates to what. We need another baseline for the hina clause, and actually one that branches, because we notice that we have the verb apolletai, perish, and then the verb eche, which is a subjunctive verb. Both of these are subjunctive because of the following hina. We need eche here as well. So for the branch, I'm going to use the left conjunction here. I can move these just slightly like this, apart. And then I'm going to put apolletai as one verb here. Give us a little bit more room like this. And then eche, my second word here. may modify as apolitai. So may will go here. And the reason I did a branch was this coordinating conjunction, an adversative conjunction Allah here that is creating the branch. The reason the branch exists here is that the same subject applies to both apolitai and eche. This is our participial clause pas hopistuon. So hopistuon belongs together, and pas as an adjective modifying it. This I'm going to put on a shelf because it's a participle that's being used substantively. And pas, the adjective modifying it. All of this is the subject of these two verbs. But I have another prepositional phrase modifying hopistuon. So I need a prepositional phrase marker so that I can put a's here and auton here. And I'm just going to grab this white handle. Again, maybe the big secret here is grab the white handle. And now these are connected. Now I need a little bit more room here. So I'm going to move this whole structure down here for a moment. Sometimes it helps to diagram a few other items to get the text items out of the way. So let's take eche, zoane, ionion. Zoane goes here, and of course ionion is an attributive adjective modifying zoe. So we stick zoe, we stick ionion underneath zoane. And so I need another subject predicate marker here, and I'm just going to take this placeholder and throw it over there for the moment. And also this placeholder for subject, because what belongs here is my participial clause. So now I just move this up so that the lines are not overlapping. I'm going to shrink this line because I'm going to join it now to this white handle. Maybe I don't need to shrink it all that much because I need some space. So I can move this whole branch structure right over here using this white handle to connect it to the baseline. Now, of course, we need a right slant underneath edoken because this henna is what introduces the entire structure I've been working on over here to the left. So this is where knowing that this canvas will automatically extend itself really helps, because now as I drag this whole structure further down the screen, I know this is a little bit counterintuitive, but as I drag that a little bit further down the screen, the canvas automatically expands itself to allow for more space. So now I'm going to move this modifier out of the way again. Perhaps shrink the line a little bit here and then extend this one a little bit further. And now I can take this entire structure and join it up. Now there's still overlap here, so I still need to drag this a little bit further down like this. If you want to check your progress, you can invoke the print dialog box and choose fit to page, also choosing on the page setup on the right side, choosing landscape also sort of helps. And there we have it so far. Now there's some cleanup that we still need to do at this point. All of these placeholders need to disappear, and the GAR needs to go on a signpost as a signpost connective. So for doing the signpost connective, there's a couple of different tricks. One of them is to draw a line that will be our shelf, and then also to draw another line. And while that second line that's vertical is still selected, to choose dot as the style. And then you usually have to click somewhere else off of this menu to get it to clear. Now there's something important to notice about the way the tools work in the diagramming engine. It's important when you're using the line tool to go back over to the palette and click selection, this little arrow tool, so that now when I start moving my arrow around again, I'm not accidentally drawing other lines. Now we join this dotted line up to the shelf, maybe scoot it down a little bit, stick the GAR on top, and then stick this entire structure on the top. It looks like I made my dotted line a little too long for this, so I'll do it like this. And there we have it. Now this entire structure is going to move on its own. Now I left this placeholder for subject here for a reason, and that's because there's an implied subject here of ho theos. So I double click in this subject placeholder and then back over the subject and put in an X in parentheses like this. And then I can pretty this up a little bit just for symmetry. My last step, of course, is to remove all of these stray placeholders. But I left that to the end because it takes a while for things to disappear when I delete them. So I'm just going to drag a selection marquee like this, enclosing all of these placeholder markers, and then push delete. So going back to the print dialog and choosing fit to page with a landscape orientation, we see the entire diagram on one page.